This is Liuwa Plain, 1,300 square miles of floodplain grassland in western Zambia, where every year, desert transforms into a sea of water, then back to desert again. Two seasons, two entirely different worlds, and between them, a survival experiment lasting millions of years, with no guiding hand. What holds this fragile web of life from collapsing when the very ground beneath it changes completely twice each year? Welcome to Wildverse, where we explore the most extraordinary stories the natural world has kept hidden. Before we venture deeper into this land, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a journey with Wildverse. And let us know in the comments, where are you watching from? But to understand Liuwa, you must first meet the species that vanished from it, then returned from nothing. As the first light of dawn touches the tips of the grass, a deep roar rises from the east, carrying across 5 miles of open plain, unstoppable. Lions. For decades, they had vanished from Liuwa. Poaching and illegal hunting in the 1990s wiped out the entire lion population here. By 2002, only a single individual remained. Lady Liuwa, the last lioness. She wandered the empty savannah for years, a solitary figure in a vast landscape where no answering roar ever came. Researchers recounted how she would seek out the glow of human campfires, lying down beside smoldering coals as though the warmth of another species might soothe her loneliness. Her story, brought to the screen by National Geographic in 2010 as the last lioness, became a global symbol of ecological loss and of hope. In 2008, African parks began reintroducing lions from Kafue National Park. Lady Liuwa could not bear cubs of her own, but she adopted and helped raise the offspring of the newly arrived females. She passed away in August 2017 at the age of 17. Her legacy, the new pride, lives on. Among them stood Bon Jovi, a striking male with a thick, dark mane named after the legendary rock star. He reclaimed territory, marking the return of the roar to plains that had fallen silent. Though Bon Jovi was later relocated to Kafue due to conflict with local communities, his story proved that nature can recover if humans allow it. Today, more than 20 lions hold stable territories across Liuwa, a living testament to the power of conservation. Lions live in prides, typically 1 or 2 adult males, several related females, and their cubs. They are the only large cat capable of tactical cooperation in both hunting and territorial defense. During the dry season, when the food chain is stretched to its limit, lions rely on pack strength and ambush tactics, especially at waterholes, where thirst dulls the vigilance of prey. A fact rarely mentioned. It is the lionesses who drive every strategic hunt. They coordinate ambushes with near mathematical precision, favoring twilight or early dawn. The males, with their heavy manes, seldom participate directly. Their primary role is territory defense, maintaining bloodlines, and confronting external threats. A thick mane is not merely attractive to females, it serves as a biological shield, protecting the neck during brutal territorial battles. The lion's roar, one of the most iconic sounds of the savannah, carries up to 5 miles, declaring the presence and dominion of the apex predator. Yet, despite this coordination, only 20 to 30% of attacks end in success. Every failure carries consequences. Prolonged starvation threatens the pride, especially cubs too young to participate. But in Liuwa, lions are not the dominant force. With an estimated 200 to 300 individuals, spotted hyenas are the true power of these plains. Contrary to their popular image as scavengers, modern behavioral ecology reveals that over 70% of a spotted hyena's diet comes from prey they hunt themselves. Across many ecosystems, their hunting success rate reaches roughly 1 in 3 equal to or exceeding lions under the same conditions. The secret lies in the jaw. A spotted hyena's bite force is sufficient to crush large bones, horns, even hooves, materials most predators must abandon. The ability to digest nearly the entire carcass, including calcium from bone, makes them the most efficient link in the ecosystem's nutrient recycling chain. Their hunting tactics are remarkably flexible. They can hunt solo, in pairs, or coordinate in small teams of 4 to 6. In special circumstances, such as the wilderbeast calving season, dozens converge to apply pressure and fragment herds, isolating the most vulnerable targets. Siege and harassment behavior, particularly frequent in January and February at Liuwa, when conditions favor optimal hunting, attests to their exceptional tactical cooperation. Spotted hyena society follows an absolute matriarchal hierarchy, one of the most complex social ranking systems among mammals. Each clan can number up to 80 individuals. Females hold complete authority. Even the lowest-ranking female outranks the highest-ranking male. Rank is determined not by strength alone, but by lineage. Daughters of high-ranking females automatically inherit privileged status, a form of dynastic power rare in the natural world. Their communication system surpasses that of any other predator, over 11 distinct vocalizations, spanning an impressively broad emotional spectrum. The characteristic laugh signals submission. Moaning and high-pitched calls transmit complex social information across miles of grassland. Spotted hyenas thrive across diverse terrain, from open savanna to sparse woodland, and semi-arid zones active both day and night, each clan's territory extending up to nearly 400 square miles. But even the rulers of the plains must yield to what is coming the dry season. The dry season descends on Liuwa without warning. Water evaporates, earth cracks. The temperatures swing between day and night, climbs to nearly 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And on that scorched earth, a faint paw print barely visible, the sole evidence of the most solitary hunter on the plains. The cheetah, the fastest land animal on Earth. Its body is an engineering masterpiece, 40 million years of evolution sculpted for a single purpose: speed. A long, hyperflexible spine functions like a coiled spring, stretching and compressing with each stride to maximize reach. Long, slender legs operate as precision levers. Semi-retractable claws, unlike any other cat's, grip the ground like a sprinter's cleats. This delivers superior traction through every turn and burst of acceleration, each stride a perfect equation of speed and control. 70 miles per hour, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds faster than most supercars on the planet. But that speed exacts a price. Each chase lasts less than a minute and rarely exceeds 1,000 feet. Peak velocity drives body temperature to dangerous thresholds, forcing mandatory rest after every pursuit, regardless of outcome. On its coat, every black spot against tawny fur is unique, like a fingerprint. No two individuals are identical. These markings also aid recognition within small hunting groups across open terrain. The large, rounded ears not only capture distant sounds with remarkable clarity, but also assist in heat dissipation, a vital advantage under Liuwa's scorching sun. Here, only a handful of cheetahs have been recorded. Faint prints in fine dust are sometimes the only proof of their existence. In a landscape of deepening drought and intensifying competition, the cheetah's survival stands as the purest example of specialized evolution where speed and strategy converge into a supreme art. Beneath the cloudless dry season sky, a wingspan exceeding 8 feet glides slowly through scorching air, as though the vastness above were merely a familiar stage for its patrols. The martial eagle, Africa's largest eagle. With a body length approaching 3 feet 8 inches and weight up to 14 pounds, that imposing frame is paired with talon grip strong enough to fracture a human forearm. But its most remarkable feature is not size, it is vision. In the clear conditions of Liuwa's dry season, a martial eagle can detect prey from nearly 4 miles. A detection range virtually unmatched by any other predator in the ecosystem. When the calculation is perfect, it descends in a stoop, reaching 100 miles per hour. 2 feet strike like javelins launched from above, precise and merciless. During the dry season, as prey ranges farther in search of water, the martial eagle extends its hunting territory significantly, flying dozens of miles each day while maintaining cautious distance from human activity. Even atop the aerial food chain, the martial eagle is not immune to extinction. As of the IUCN's 2024 assessment, classified endangered. Causes are multifaceted. Habitat loss from agricultural expansion, collisions with power infrastructure, secondary poisoning from contaminated carcasses, and persecution, often rooted in the mistaken belief they threaten livestock. With slow reproduction and vast territorial needs, even minor environmental changes can carry severe consequences for the species' survival. As the eagle completes its stoop, the grassland sinks into weighted silence. Below, against dried grass stretching to the horizon, a massive form moves with quiet, immovable strength. The African buffalo, weighing up to nearly 2,000 pounds, standing almost 5.5 feet at the shoulder, the embodiment of collective endurance. Curved horns form a solid bone plate called the boss, shielding the skull in combat and becoming lethal weaponry against any natural enemy. Unlike wilderbeast or zebra, buffalo do not leave Liuwa seasonally. They move laterally within the landscape from higher ground to wherever fresh grass sprouts after rain. Their routes are guided by accumulated experience and the collective memory of the oldest members, an invisible map, accurate down to every stream. Smell is the critical sense. Buffalo detect water and identify threats from over a mile away, allowing the entire herd to adjust course before danger draws near. Social structure is built on cohesion and tight coordination. Each herd may number from a few dozen to over 300, led by the patience and wisdom of its most senior members. When confronted by danger, they do not scatter. Instead, a living fortress forms. The largest males front the line, shielding females and calves at the center. Multiple cases of lions killed during coordinated counterattacks have been documented, testament to collective power and protective instincts passed through generations. Each adult consumes approximately 33 pounds of dry grass per day, the fuel required to sustain that massive frame. Large-scale grazing controls vegetation height, creating pathways for ground-nesting birds and smaller herbivores. And then, amidst a grassland on the verge of transformation, the first raindrops fall. The wet season arrives, but it brings no safety. it brings an entirely different kind of danger. Water rises. Dry grassland converts into a vast wetland system, and in this half-water, half-land world, one species has been ready all along. The red lechwe born to live between two worlds. With long, narrow hooves, the red lechwe glides through mud with almost surreal lightness, as though its very existence were shaped for this terrain. Dark markings on the forelegs stand out like symbols painted by nature itself, helping individuals recognize each other through mist and the chorus of frogs blanketing the plain. At Liuwa, approximately 700 red lechwe live year-round. Unlike wilderbeast, they do not migrate far but adjust position by water level. They advance as fresh grass sprouts at the water's edge, retreating when floods submerge the plains entirely. Adult males stand about 4 feet tall and weigh around 265 pounds. Their coats carry a natural waterproofing oil that maintains body temperature even during hours of immersion in cold floodwaters. When pursued by predators, the entire herd plunges into deep water, a tactic few hunters dare follow. In water, red lechwe move with speed and agility, causing pursuers to lose traction, momentum, or abandon the chase altogether. They rely not on raw speed or brute strength, but on mastery of environment, knowing how to flow with the current, selecting the right grasses, and avoiding treacherous depths. Their peaceful coexistence with zebra and wildebeest, without direct competition, reinforces lechwe's role as an essential link in the wetland ecosystem. They regulate aquatic plant biomass and create safe corridors for water birds. And in the rising muddy waters, from the horizon 45,000 silhouettes slowly materialize. The second largest terrestrial migration in Africa, surpassed only by the millions flowing across the Serengeti and Mara. Wildebeest do not wait for rain to move. They sense the shift before the first storm through moisture in the wind, distant thunder, and subtle changes in the resonance of the earth beneath their hooves. This migration is not a random journey. It is an annual cycle encoded across countless generations. Every strip of land, every patch of grass, every waterhole already remembered by ancestors from millennia past. They traverse waterlogged depressions and cross streams along routes cutting through the Liuwa floodplain. Though shorter than the famous Serengeti migration, the path here is no less perilous. Predators are always watching. The deep, characteristic call of the males carries over a mile, an acoustic signal cutting through grassland to maintain herd contact. Beyond sound, they use scent trails from interdigital glands on their feet, combined with urine and dung to delineate territory and reinforce social bonds. When danger strikes, the herd forms a defensive circle by instinct calves at the center, adults facing outward. The movement resembles a tornado, sweeping across the flooded plain, visually striking, yet deeply strategic. Without a single leader, they rely on constant mutual observation. Ethologists call it swarm intelligence, a biological mechanism allowing response to threats as a unified organism. At the end of the wet season, breeding begins. After approximately 8.5 months of gestation, females give birth just as the grassland starts to dry. Wider sight lines across drying plains, sharpened predator detection timing birth to terrain is no accident. Within minutes of birth, a calf stands. Shortly after, it runs alongside its mother, a biological imperative for a species whose life is defined by perpetual motion. The wilderbeast is the tireless gardener of the savannah. By cropping short grass, they create space for taller grasses and shrubs to flourish elsewhere. Continuous movement supports soil regeneration and nutrient cycling. When an individual falls, its body does not mark an ending. It triggers countless new food chains. The last breath of a wildebeest continues to sustain lions, vultures, and the very earth itself. If this migration has captivated you, share with Wildverse in the comments. What makes Liuwa so remarkable to you? Alongside the wildebeest, plains zebra appear in impressive numbers during the wet season, thousands converging from the park's edges toward the center seeking fresh grass. Unlike the wildebeest's strategic endurance, zebra rely on rigid social structure and keen observational skills to survive. They live in small, stable units called harems, one dominant stallion, several mares, and their foals. This is the fundamental building block of zebra society. Each individual carries a completely unique stripe pattern, like a fingerprint, no two alike. Science has studied their thermoregulatory potential through air convection between heat-absorbing dark and heat-reflecting light zones. Stripes also create visual confusion for blood-sucking insects, making landing difficult, a subtle evolutionary advantage few species possess. Adults weigh between 485 and 660 pounds, standing 4 to 4.5 feet at the shoulder. Gestation lasts 12 to 13 months. Foals are born at the end of the wet season, when grass remains abundant. Within minutes, a newborn stands and follows its mother, instant adaptation for a life defined by movement. When danger appears, the lead stallion immediately intervenes, blocking the formation or attracting the predator's attention to buy time for the group's escape. Bonds within each harem are maintained through mutual grooming, body contact, and a complex signaling system, from resonant barks to subtle ear and tail movements. When food is plentiful and the plains stretch wide, multiple harems merge into larger aggregations, bolstering safety in numbers and forming formidable migratory forces. High above, against the open vault of sky, another pair of wings silently patrols the white-backed vulture. With wingspans from 6.5 to 7.5 feet and weight up to 16 pounds, they are the silent biological stewards of the entire ecosystem. The distinctive white back, most visible with wings, spread along with a bare head and neck, permits deep immersion into carcasses without infection risk. During the dry season, when herbivore mortality spikes from dehydration, the white-backed vulture's role becomes more critical than ever. They converge in flocks of hundreds, capable of stripping a medium-sized carcass clean in under an hour. An extraordinarily powerful digestive system neutralizes disease-causing bacteria without harm, a vital function preventing epidemics across wildlife populations. Historical population estimates stood at approximately 270,000. Today, the white-backed vulture has declined over 80%, classified critically endangered by the IUCN. The primary cause: poisoning from pesticide, contaminated carcasses, veterinary drugs like diclofenac, or deliberate baiting intended for predators. They are collateral victims in a war not aimed at them. Below, on water-reflecting sky, another figure emerges. The African fish eagle, Zambia's national bird symbol of freedom, strength, and untamed spirit. With a wingspan of nearly 8 feet, it is light enough to glide effortlessly above marshes, yet powerful enough to strike in a fraction of a second with absolute precision. Feet lined with small hook-like spines grip slippery fish even mid-flight, then carry the catch hundreds of feet back to the nest without pause. They maintain a lifelong monogamous bond. Each year they return to the same nest, a massive construction of dry branches spanning and rising over 6 feet, anchored in large riverside trees. The wet season is not only prime hunting time, but also marks the breeding season. Yet the fish eagle does not limit itself to self-caught prey when opportunity arises. It robs food from herons and egrets, a behavior called kleptoparasitism. As rains pour and marshes swell, a new symphony begins waterbirds. Liuwa hosts over 300 bird species, but during the wet season, a few stand above all. The grey-crowned crane, standing approximately 3 feet 3 inches tall, wingspan reaching 6.5 feet, crowned by a golden plume. The only crane species capable of perching in trees thanks to a long hind toe, an evolutionary inheritance from tree-dwelling ancestors. Their courtship ritual is among nature's most spectacular dances, bowing, spreading wings, leaping into the air, culminating in a ceremonial bow, a declaration of love requiring no sound. They maintain enduring monogamous bonds, sharing responsibilities of raising young and defending territory. Outside breeding season, grey-crowned cranes gather in large flocks, sometimes 150 strong. According to the IUCN, the grey-crowned crane is classified endangered global population only 20,000 to nearly 25,000 mature individuals, declining due to wetland loss, pollution, and illegal trade. Beside them, the saddle-billed stork, one of Africa's tallest wading birds, standing nearly 5 feet with wingspan, exceeding 8 feet steps quietly through the shallows. Its deep red bill, with a bright yellow saddle near the base, is not merely identification, but a specialized hunting tool, 71% guided by vision and the remainder by refined tactile sensitivity. And the great egret, pristine white plumage, long dark legs, stands motionless for minutes amid shallow water. Then a yellow spear-like bill strikes forward with near instantaneous speed. Patience is its most sophisticated weapon. At this moment, Liuwa's ecosystem operates like a complete symphony, each species an instrument, each season a movement. But the symphony is not always played to completion. In 2024, Zambia endured its most devastating drought in over 2 decades, a direct consequence of increasingly extreme El Niño events driven by global climate change. Rainfall plummeted. Marshes dried ahead of schedule. Natural food sources collapsed, pushing both wildlife and human communities into extreme hardship. On February 29, 2024, the Zambian government declared a national disaster. 84 of 116 districts were affected, including the western province, home to Liuwa Plain. As water retreated from grasslands and rivers ran dry, the pressure of survival weighed on wildlife and humans alike. Many community members who protect Liuwa, those on the front lines of conservation, also fell into severe hardship. The Barotse Community Resource Board coordinated with 10 action groups, deploying a $250,000 relief program. Food supplies were distributed to 100 households across 10 of the most severely affected communities. What is unfolding at Liuwa is part of a larger story. Climate change is redefining the planet. The fate of Liuwa, like so many ecosystems, depends directly on decisions humans are making right now. But Liuwa does not surrender. African Parks has managed this land since 2003, over 20 years of sustained partnership with the Zambia Wildlife Authority and the Barotse Royal Establishment. The successful reintroduction of keystone species, lions, buffalo, African wild dogs, marked a turning point for the ecosystem. Not only did they survive, they bred successfully, proof of nature's capacity for recovery when given proper protection. Over 95% of Liuwa's conservation workforce are local community members. Camera traps and GPS tracking combined with indigenous knowledge have built a sustainable monitoring model where humans and nature find balance. The annual migration of 45,000 wildebeest continues to mark the unchanging biological rhythm of the floodplain. Every footstep fertilizes the grass, encourages the return of hundreds of rare bird species, and restores the chain of ecological balance. Protecting wild nature is not merely preserving biodiversity. It is also safeguarding climate stability and the ecological future for generations yet to come. And as night returns over Liuwa Plain, in the familiar darkness where every story began, a footstep lands on the earth. Gentle, precise, silent. The leopard, the silent sovereign, continues its patrol, a solitary force that never needs to declare dominion, only to exist. It drags its kill high into a tree beyond the reach of scavengers below. In the wet season, when water washes away scent markers on the ground, it marks territory with claw scratches on bark and a low growl cutting through the darkness. Each litter typically includes 1 to 3 cubs. They remain hidden for the first weeks, and hunting training does not begin until approximately 4 months of age. According to the IUCN, the leopard is classified vulnerable populations declining from human-wildlife conflict, poaching, and habitat loss. But here at Liuwa, under African Parks protection, the species still finds sanctuary. This land belongs to no one. It belongs to every footstep that has crossed it, and every one that will. The last migration is not a migration that ends everything. It is the migration every species must complete so that life continues. Thank you for journeying with Wildverse. The natural world still holds countless stories waiting to be told. See you on the next expedition. At the heart of Europe, a kingdom of ice and stone rises to meet the sky. The Alps, a name rooted in ancient Latin echoing the color white, like eternal crowns of snow reaching toward the heavens. At this altitude, the air turns thin and merciless, where howling winds cut through rock like blades. This is the throne of a true sovereign, the golden eagle. With eyes 8 times sharper than human vision and a wingspan exceeding 7 feet, it commands absolute dominion over the skies. Above the peaks surpassing 13,000 feet, the golden eagle patrols vast territories, scanning every cliff face with eyes that miss nothing. When a target is spotted, it folds its wings and plunges at speeds exceeding 150 miles per hour, faster than any supercar on the ground. But just beneath this monarch, on sheer vertical walls, another confrontation unfolds in silence. Alpine chamois, those gravity-defying gladiators, cling to the precarious boundary between life and oblivion. Their secret lies in extraordinary hooves. Hard outer rims grip rock like crampons, while soft inner pads mold to the surface like professional climbing shoes. In this realm, the summit belongs not to the swiftest, but to those who possess absolute balance. These great fortresses of stone were forged across tens of millions of years of geological history. Roughly 100 million years ago, the African plate began its slow drift northward, gradually squeezing the ancient Tethys Ocean shut. The most violent phase of collision occurred approximately 35 million years ago, when 2 continental masses crushed ocean sediments and thrust them skyward. That tectonic upheaval gave birth to one of the most formidable mountain systems on Earth. Switzerland, guardian of the Alps' very soul, is home to 48 peaks rising above 13,000 feet. The Dufospitze stands at 15,203 feet, the highest point in all of Switzerland, towering above a sea of clouds. And the Matterhorn, the world's most iconic mountain, rises like a perfect pyramid against the blue sky. This is a land where time itself seems frozen between ice and stone. Welcome to Wildverse, where we explore the most extraordinary secrets the natural world has to offer. And this is the Alps, a kingdom where life writes its story across the highest peaks of Europe, through 4 of the harshest seasons on the planet. When summer arrives at the high peaks of the Swiss Alps, a great transformation begins to awaken from within the ice. The snow fortresses blanketing much of Swiss territory now begin to melt, unleashing energy held captive through the long winter months. Meltwater from mighty glaciers, like the Aletsch and Morteratsch, cascades down vertical rock faces, creating ribbons of silver and flooding valleys with renewed vitality. At lower elevations, temperatures settle into an ideal range of 50 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Delivering warmth and abundant nutrition to the entire ecosystem. Descending into the sub-Alpine zone, from 5,000 to 6,500 feet, the landscape shifts from barren grey rock to dense forests of spruce and fir. This is the domain of giants, where nature's majesty is embodied in the silhouette of the red deer. Beneath the ancient forest canopy, a mature stag weighing 400 to 500 pounds steps into a pool of sunlight, asserting his dominance across the mountain slopes. Summer is a nutritional race with no finish line. Every individual must seize each hour of daylight to consume vast quantities of fresh grass and young leaves, rebuilding muscle strength after a winter of deprivation. The towering antlers crowning the males are at their fastest growth phase, organic weapons sheathed in soft velvet, laced with blood vessels that fuel their development. They exploit the lush meadows nourished by glacial meltwater, where every blade of grass holds the energy for the power struggles ahead. Deep in the shade of the pine forest, fawns follow their mothers in silence, taking their very first steps into the world. Their safety depends entirely on the dense canopy overhead and the guiding instincts of their mothers to evade the sharp eyes of predators. But the red deer is not the only creature writing its summer story in the Alps. While the larger mammals feast upon the green banquet, a different kind of commotion unfolds across the forest edge meadows. The red fox, a cunning and opportunistic hunting specialist, enters the busiest hours of her year. For a vixen, summer is not merely a time to hunt, but a rigorous training course for her young. Fox cubs venture outside the den for the first time, timid yet brimming, with curiosity about the vibrant world around them. Under their mother's watchful eye, they begin learning to stalk voles, lizards, and insects concealed beneath the thick grass. The vixen teaches her young to use their acute hearing to detect the faintest sounds beneath the earth, a skill that will determine their survival. With the ability to leap 3 feet from a standing position, red foxes execute precise pounces from above onto hidden prey. Scientists have uncovered a remarkable secret. When hunting in deep snow or tall grass, red foxes preferentially leap in a north-northeastern direction. They may be using the Earth's magnetic field as a natural compass to pinpoint the exact location of prey hidden below. They are the most versatile omnivores of the mountain range, readily supplementing their diet with wild berries and forest fruits to maximize their reserves for winter. Family life for the foxes in summer is a symphony of learning, where every misstep can exact a fatal price. The vibrant energy of the subalpine zone on these summer days is the clearest proof that life always finds its way back. Yet, vigilance is never wasted here, for in this world, the hunter can become the hunted in the blink of an eye. And beneath that vibrancy, another drama quietly unfolds under the pine canopy. As summer sunlight filters through the dense forest canopy, the roe deer, the red deer's smaller but spirited cousin, enters the most intense period of its year. Weighing just 40 to 65 pounds, they possess remarkable agility and resilience to navigate the green labyrinth of the mountains. Summer is not merely a time for foraging. For the bucks, this marks the peak of the rut, stretching from mid-July through late August. They chase each other ceaselessly through the undergrowth, rubbing their small but razor-sharp antlers against tree trunks to mark territory and attract mates. Their sharp barking calls shatter the forest silence, an effort to assert strength and establish standing within the population. But the most remarkable secret is hidden within the doe's body. The embryo lies dormant in the womb, suspended in development until December. This mechanism, known as embryonic diapause, ensures that fawns will be born at the most advantageous moment, the following spring, when food is most abundant. To fuel these exhausting confrontations, they exploit the rich vegetation of young leaves and nutritious buds flourishing everywhere. While the males are consumed by competition, the dars attend to a sacred duty, protecting the next generation. Roe deer mothers typically give birth to 1 to 3 fawns and conceal them carefully in dense brush or tall grass to evade the eyes of prowling predators. To avoid the heat of day, roe deer prefer dawn or dusk for their activities, precisely the most dangerous hours. For in this verdant realm, every movement falls under the surveillance of a supremely powerful entity. That entity is the Eurasian lynx, the largest wildcat in all of Europe. Weighing 40 to 70 pounds and measuring 3 to 4 feet in body length, it is a hunting machine honed by millions of years of evolution. That imposing stature is more than sufficient to overpower prey as large as roe deer or chamois, making it the undisputed apex predator of the alpine forests. The lynx's secret weapon lies not in its claws or brute force, but in its uniquely broad paws. These paws function as natural sound dampeners, allowing it to move in perfect silence across steep rock and dry leaf litter alike. The lynx is a true phantom. It typically conceals itself in the deepest shadows of the pine forest, patiently awaiting dusk to begin its hunt. The fading light of twilight is its ally, masking its subtle movements as it stalks and closes in on prey. For any roe deer or chamois savoring the abundance of summer, the sudden appearance of a lynx is the last thing they will ever perceive. One lightning strike, one moment of absolute precision, the lynx never wastes energy on futile attempts. The presence of this apex predator plays a vital role in maintaining the delicate equilibrium of the entire alpine ecosystem. Summer in the subalpine zone is therefore not merely a feast of life and color, but a chess match where every move carries consequence. The strong dominate through muscle, but the lynx rules through silence and supreme patience. Every breath beneath the ancient Swiss forests carries both hope and fear, the most primal essence of this land. As the brilliant summer days draw to a close, the Alps begin a mesmerizing transition. The conifer forests and high meadows are now illuminated by blazing hues of red, orange, and gold, transforming the entire landscape into a living canvas where nature and time converge. Rains begin to fall more frequently, heralding the end of the warm months. The air turns cooler, plant growth decelerates, and wild creatures quickly sense the urgent approach of winter. Autumn brings a gradual but vital metamorphosis, as every resident of this realm must prepare for the severe trials ahead. In this scramble, the red squirrel becomes the very emblem of industry, as food harvesting becomes the highest priority. They devote most of their time to gathering pine cones, chestnuts, and seeds from conifers and deciduous trees. Armed with exceptional spatial memory, red squirrels can recall precisely where they have buried food underground or tucked it into tree hollows. Yet a portion of these seeds is never retrieved, inadvertently germinating and becoming new saplings, transforming the squirrel into the Alps' greatest accidental forester. A fully grown adult weighs less than a pound, but will gain significant weight from autumn's abundant food supply to brace itself against the cold. Meanwhile, at higher elevations, the Alpine marmot also enters its most intense period of activity. They feed constantly on grass, roots, and seeds to accumulate a thick layer of fat for a hibernation that stretches from October through April. Simultaneously, they excavate and repair burrow systems reaching depths of 10 feet, lined with dry leaves and grass to insulate the family. During hibernation, a marmot's body temperature plummets to just 39 to 46 degrees Fahrenheit. Its heartbeat slows to near stillness, and it rouses only once every 10 days to prevent freezing. Living in family groups, they share underground tunnel networks and maintain sentinel posts to detect threats. Piercing alarm whistles ring out the instant they spot the shadow of a golden eagle or a prowling Eurasian lynx. Autumn also marks a period of concern surrounding a highly adaptive newcomer, the raccoon, a species native to North America that has quietly spread into Switzerland, particularly across the country's northwestern regions. They focus on stockpiling energy through a diverse diet, from small animals and berries to seeds, exploiting every available resource. Their signature behavior is washing food with their front paws in water, a habit that aids in processing their meals more efficiently. The rapid proliferation of raccoons poses mounting challenges to native species through fierce competition for resources and disease transmission risks. On the high rock faces, Autumn's most ferocious power struggle begins as male Alpine ibex return to the herds. Males rear up on their hind legs and charge, the thunderous clash of horns weighing up to 33 pounds echoing across the valleys. The rut extends from late November through January, and only the strongest victors earn the right to pass on their genes. The predator's shadow grows more fearsome as the Eurasian lynx expands its hunting territory, exploiting the distraction of prey consumed by the urgency of fattening up. With broad paws, enabling silent movement across any terrain, the lynx is autumn's most dreaded spectre. Overhead, a great migration commences as thousands of European goldfinches and hawfinches wing southward, leaving the skies empty. The glaciers of Switzerland, the very soul of the Alps, begin drawing their white mantle back on as the sun weakens. Autumn in the Alps is not merely a change of color, but a race for survival. Every chestnut stashed away, every layer of fat accumulated, is a ticket to endure the coming winter. When the first snowflakes begin to fall, the race concludes to make way for the absolute silence of the frost. And only those who are prepared most thoroughly will have a chance to see the sun of the following spring. If you find the struggle for survival in the Alps as fascinating as we do, share your thoughts in the comments below. From November through March, a white and frigid curtain descends, sealing the Alps into a kingdom besieged by ice. At the loftiest summits, temperatures can plunge to -22 degrees Fahrenheit, turning the air into blades that test every limit of survival. Beneath the proud Matterhorn, snow piles 13 feet deep, swallowing all traces of life and rendering the landscape a silent white desert. The magnificent waterfalls of the Lauterbrunnen Valley, thundering in summer, are now nothing but colossal pillars of ice hanging mute against cliffs nearly 1,000 feet high. In this world of white death, silence is not peace, it is the most ferocious struggle of all. In the highest glacial zones, where the boundary between mountain and sky dissolves, a white phantom hides flawlessly among the rock crevices, the rock ptarmigan. This bird is the last living relic of the Ice Age, having endured for millions of years on peaks ranging from 6,200 to 8,900 feet. To survive winter, it performs a miraculous transformation, replacing its grey-brown plumage with a coat of pure, immaculate white, one of 3 annual molts. This winter plumage is twice as dense as its summer coat, serving as a perfect suit of thermal armor against the bone-cutting cold. The rock ptarmigan shelters near large boulders to escape the wind and minimizes all activity, conserving every precious calorie. They excavate small tunnels in the snow, searching for the last remaining roots and buds to sustain a fragile warmth. When darkness engulfs the frozen world, another predator begins its soundless patrol from abandoned farmhouse rooftops in the lowlands, the barn owl. While most creatures are blinded by the darkness and snow, this owl sees and hears what the rest of the world overlooks. Its secret weapon lies in asymmetrical ears, one positioned higher than the other, combined with a heart-shaped facial disc that functions as a parabolic antenna for collecting sound. This structure allows the barn owl to locate prey in 3-dimensional space, using sound alone, even in absolute darkness. Even when voles hide beneath the snow, the barn owl detects the faintest rustle and plunges from the air, punching through the soft snow with powerful talons. Beneath the snow-laden spruce forests of the sub-Alpine zone, a larger dark shape moves silently through the deep drifts, the grey wolf. Once extinct here, this predator has returned from Italy over the high mountain passes, steadily re-establishing the order of the apex predators. To withstand temperatures of -4 degrees Fahrenheit, the grey wolf possesses a specialized double coat, a soft inner layer trapping heat like sheep's wool, and long outer guard hairs deflecting wind and snow. The wolf's greatest enemy is not the cold, but the gnawing hunger that comes when prey grows desperately scarce. They form elite packs of 4 to 6 individuals, patrolling vast territories for any trace of red deer or chamois. In winter, deep snow becomes the wolf's unexpected ally. It slows the heavy-footed herbivores, while the wolf's broad paws distribute its weight across the surface. Grey wolves track their quarry with unrelenting patience, employing encirclement tactics to drive prey into the deepest snowdrifts and drain their stamina. The wolf's return has begun to recalibrate herbivore populations, allowing alpine vegetation to recover in ways that humans alone could never achieve. On the frigid waters of Lake Geneva and Lake Thun, another scene unfolds with quiet majesty, the steadfast resilience of the mute swan. Though the lake surface is partially frozen over, the remaining open water serves as a final fortress for these regal birds. Swans deploy their considerable size and dense, waterproof plumage to maintain stable body temperature amid water as cold as stone. The secret that prevents them from freezing while standing on ice lies in a counter-current heat exchange system within their legs. Warm blood, flowing from the heart downward, heats the cold blood returning from the feet like two rivers running in opposite directions, exchanging warmth, preventing excessive heat loss, and protecting vital organs. Though aquatic vegetation grows scarce, the swans persist in foraging for whatever nourishment remains beneath the frigid lake. Winter in the Alps is nature's most brutal examination, where death lurks in every gust of wind. Every creature from the rock ptarmigan on the heights, to the barn owl in the night, to the grey wolf packs in the deep forest must adapt or be eliminated. In that absolute stillness, every breath is a victory. Every day of survival is a miracle. They wait, silent and enduring, until the spring sun grows strong enough to shatter winter's grip. For beneath 13 feet of snow, the pulse of life has never truly ceased. It has merely drawn inward, waiting to erupt once more. When March arrives, the Alpine kingdom begins to shed its white cloak and step into a great resurrection. From the highest summits, ice and snow begin to melt under the sun's growing power, and water as pure as diamond flows from the glaciers, threading through rock crevices to return to the valleys. Temperatures climb gradually from 36 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit, breathing fresh vitality into every fiber of the mountain landscape. Lush meadows of velvet green grass stretch toward the sun, heralding the beginning of a new cycle of life and hope. In valleys like Zermatt and Lauterbrunnen, the Staubach waterfall, nearly 1,000 feet tall, roars back to life against a backdrop of fresh green. Beneath the crystal-clear lakes, the returning warmth triggers the proliferation of small fish, opening a grand feast for waterbirds. This is the moment to witness one of nature's most romantic love dances, the courtship ritual of the great crested grebe. They enter the breeding season with mesmerizing displays, in which pairs face each other and stretch their elegant necks skyward. In perfect synchrony, they glide across the water as a single entity diving deep, resurfacing with weed in their bills, then rushing toward each other in an upright dance upon the waves. Once bonded, pairs collaborate in building floating nests of grass and plant material in the shallows near shore. Each nest will cradle 3 to 4 eggs, attended in turn by both parents who share the duty of protection and incubation amid the cool waters. From distant southern lands, a noble visitor bearing exotic beauty also returns, the hoopoe. With resplendent plumage and a crest that fans open like a royal crown, it becomes a vivid highlight against the subalpine landscape. The Lake Lugano region, with its warm climate and plentiful insects, serves as the ideal landing ground for their breeding season. The young will be devotedly cared for by both parents for 26 to 29 days before they are fully feathered and ready to begin independent life. But the most powerful resurrection unfolds upon the vertical cliffs, where the line between life and death is measured in inches. For the Alpine chamois, spring is a season of new beginnings, harsh, yet brimming with promise. Chamois kids are born right on precarious rock ledges, where the cold still lingers in the mountain wind's breath. Within hours of birth, these tiny creatures must master their very first lesson, climbing sheer rock faces on small legs, carrying the instincts of a born mountaineer. Their mothers always choose the most secluded spots to give birth, minimizing the threat from golden eagles and Eurasian lynx that are ever on the watch. Beneath the sub-alpine canopy, roe deer also quietly welcome a new generation as the embryos that lay dormant all winter now develop fully. Roe deer mothers hide their fawns deep in brush or tall grass, and the newborns lie in perfect stillness, relying on flawless camouflage to survive their earliest weeks. Spring in the Alps is not merely a shift in weather, it is an epic of resurrection and an indomitable will to endure. Beneath the majestic and seemingly immutable facade of the Alps, a quiet but devastating change is underway. The glaciers, the frozen heart of the European continent, are vanishing at an unprecedented pace. In the year 2022 alone, Switzerland lost 6% of its ice volume, a grievous record, followed by another 4% the next year, totaling 10% in just 2 years. As these strongholds melt, they leave behind not only bare rock, but the shattered hopes of countless species. The rock ptarmigan, dependent on deep snow for camouflage, now becomes an exposed target when the snow retreats too early. Its population has declined by roughly 1/3 since the mid-1990s. Alpine chamois and ibex are forced to retreat to ever higher peaks in search of the cold they require, where food is scarce and living space contracts. The human footprint from gleaming ski resorts to sprawling cable car networks has fractured the migration corridors of red deer and chamois. Even the storied rivers are suffering, with summer flows declining markedly as their source glaciers disappear, threatening native alpine brown trout. Yet in the shadow of this crisis, hope still glimmers. At the Morteratsch Glacier, enormous white geotextile blankets are draped over the ice like bandages, reducing melt by up to 50% each year. The spectacular recovery of the Eurasian lynx since 1971 stands as proof that humans can heal the wounds they have inflicted upon nature. From roughly 25 to 30 individuals initially released into the Swiss forests, the phantom of the Alps has returned, helping restore balance to the wild ecosystem. And the story of the Alpine ibex is even more remarkable. Once on the very brink of extinction, every ibex in the Alps today descends from a tiny population protected at Gran Paradiso, Italy. From the edge of oblivion, they have reclaimed the highest cliffs of Europe, a resounding triumph of conservation. The future of the Alps does not reside in dry scientific reports, but in the awakening and responsibility of each one of us. Every small action, from choosing ecotourism to participating in environmental protection, is a drop of cool water nourishing life. On the snow-covered peaks, the golden eagle still soars, its wingspan of more than 7 feet, cutting across the deep blue sky, as if to remind us that this kingdom among the clouds is still breathing. The wheel of nature turns once more, full of challenge yet overflowing with the purest beauty of creation. And the story of the Alps, a story of ice, stone, blood, and life, will continue to be written, so long as snow still crowns the peaks, and the cry of the eagle echoes through the heights. Every creature carries within it an extraordinary story. Wildverse will continue to bring you those stories if you haven't subscribed yet. Now is the perfect time. Have you ever felt the breath of the mountains, or stood in silent awe before the beauty of ice-capped peaks? Share your story to help Wildverse spread the message of protecting this precious heritage. Crossing the vast ocean to the west, a new kingdom emerges, cloaked in a canopy so deep and dense that even sunlight struggles to penetrate. This is the Amazon basin, a wilderness stretching across nearly 3 million square miles, a world whose sheer scale defies human imagination. Beneath the fierce equatorial sun, an extraordinary and invisible process is unfolding on a planetary scale, reshaping the very atmosphere of Earth. Each ancient tree here operates as a colossal biological pump, drawing dozens of gallons of water from the Earth each day and releasing them into the air. This evapotranspiration creates the flying river's immense ribbons of moisture carrying more water than the mighty Amazon River flowing beneath them. They drift through the atmosphere, transporting life and orchestrating the rhythm of global climate, connecting distant farmlands with ice-capped mountains on the far side of the ocean. The Amazon is not merely a forest, it is an intricate life support machine where every link holds a decisive role in maintaining Earth's equilibrium. Yet the true splendor of this kingdom lies in its unparalleled biodiversity, a grand laboratory of evolution spanning millions of years. Here, nature does not evolve quietly. It erupts in an endless arms race among species. Every inch of forest floor is a luminous battlefield, where every adaptation is pushed to its absolute limit for one chance at survival. From predators lurking in murky waters to tiny engineers building vast subterranean empires beneath the rotting leaf litter. Descending through the cloud layer, pushing deeper beneath the emerald canopy, the air thickens with humidity and the echoes of a million lives. This is the green heart of the world, where the boundary between myth and science has never been thinner. A world of pink phantoms beneath the water, assassins, armed with lethal talons, and silent warriors of the forest floor. The story begins now, at the place where water invades the land to create an otherworldly labyrinth. These are the Varzea flooded forests, where life must learn to breathe underwater to endure the punishing flood seasons. A new chapter, charged with drama, about the power and resilience of nature in the greatest basin on Earth, is about to unfold. The rainy season begins high in the Andes, when cascading torrents pour downhill, transforming the lowlands beyond recognition. The Amazon River no longer stays within its banks. It stretches colossal arms across the floodplains, swallowing the virgin forest whole. Past the dark understory and the lush canopy, the emergent layer appears where ancient trees soaring over 200 feet puncture the mist to touch the sky. As the first light of dawn filters through the morning mist, the Amazon's high canopy awakens to a primal and powerful sound. It is the call of the howler monkey, a creature possessing the most powerful voice in the primate world. This deep, resonant call can travel for over 3 miles through the dense forest canopy, a remarkable feat of natural bioacoustics. The secret lies in its throat, which houses a greatly enlarged hyoid bone that functions as a cup-shaped resonating chamber. As air passes through this chamber, it is amplified many times over, turning an individual's call into a shockwave of sound that reverberates through the forest. This sound, however, is not a meaningless display of power, but a clever and energy-efficient survival strategy. In the tropical rainforest environment, constant movement to defend a territory consumes precious calories from a low-protein diet. Instead of engaging in direct physical conflict, howler monkey families use their calls to establish invisible yet strictly enforced boundaries. This is a classic example of how evolution optimizes behavior to avoid unnecessary conflict, maintaining peace within the population. Beyond their role as the broadcasters of the green forest, howler monkeys perform another critical ecological function. They are the gardeners of the canopy. With a diet consisting of hundreds of types of leaves and forest fruits, they move constantly through the canopy in search of diverse nutrition. Each howl that echoes in the morning is not just a message of communication, but a signal that the great forest's rhythm is being steadily maintained. The connection between their specialized anatomy and their biological role makes the howler monkey an irreplaceable link in the web of life. They are living proof of a scientific truth. In nature, sound itself can have the power to build a forest. Beneath the deep green vault, their calls continue to echo a hymn of evolution and a tribute to Mother Nature. Leaving the dense canopy, we arrive at the vibrant clay licks along the Amazon's riverbanks, where a fascinating biological phenomenon unfolds. Hundreds of macaws gather here, creating a moving rainbow of color against the deep green of the great forest. This behavior is known as geophagy, the practice of eating earth to maintain chemical balance and survive in a harsh environment. In the evolutionary race, many forest plants have developed alkaloid and tannin toxins in their seeds to prevent them from being consumed. The macaw's incredibly powerful beak can crush these hard shells, but in doing so, it also absorbs the accompanying toxins. These clay licks are nature's chemical filters, containing phyllosilicate minerals that can bind to and neutralize these poisons. Beyond detoxification, the clay also provides sodium and other essential trace minerals, which are exceptionally scarce resources within the rainforest. Biologically, macaws are a testament to enduring partnership, maintaining monogamous pair bonds for their entire lives. This companionship helps pairs optimize their foraging and territory management in a highly competitive ecosystem. With their long wingspans and perfect aerodynamic design, they can undertake flights of dozens of miles through the forest each day. On these journeys, the macaws unwittingly become seed transporters, maintaining the genetic diversity of the vegetation. Their brilliant coloration is not merely for beauty. It is the result of a highly sophisticated biochemical adaptation strategy. The presence of the macaw is a critical link, keeping the rhythm and balance of the Amazon's circulatory system perpetually strong. Amid the bustling pace of the old-growth forest, the three-toed sloth has chosen an entirely different path, one of absolute stillness. This is not laziness, but an intelligent, evolutionary strategy to optimize the scarce energy available in its environment. With a diet consisting mainly of nutrient-poor leaves, the sloth has evolved the slowest metabolic rate in the mammalian world. A single meal can take up to 30 days to be fully digested in its complex, multi-chambered stomach. It is this extremely slow pace of life that has turned the sloth's body into a unique, mobile ecosystem. In its thick coat, a specialized species of green algae thrives, providing the sloth with perfect camouflage amongst the verdant leaves. This symbiotic relationship also includes a species of moth, creating a rich biological network directly on its back. Periodically, once a week, the sloth undertakes a perilous journey, a slow descent to the forest floor to defecate. This act is not simply for sanitation, it is a way of directly fertilizing the base of its tree, nurturing its own food source. By returning nutrients to the soil, the sloth completes a closed-loop nitrogen cycle, sustaining the life and health of its host tree. The sloth is proof that success in nature does not always belong to the fastest, but to the most energy efficient. In its world, slowness is the key to sustainable and harmonious existence within the heart of the great Amazon. Every movement of the sloth is a lesson in balance, where each individual is a small link nourishing a much larger life. Leaving the subterranean factories, we move to the intersection of two worlds, the water's surface and the forest's edge. Here, the jaguar and the cayman coexist as powerful entities, acting as guardians of the balance for the entire river system. The jaguar is the only large cat to have such a close and wondrous connection to the aquatic environment of a tropical ecosystem. With their specialized musculature and masterful swimming abilities, they can manage vast territories that include islands separated by swift currents. In conservation science, the jaguar is identified as an umbrella species because its existence ensures the survival of thousands of other species within the same habitat. Their presence just beneath the surface, the cayman fulfills a vital biochemical role for all aquatic life. They act as mobile recycling plants, consuming energy and releasing essential nutrients like phosphorus and nitrogen back into the water through their waste. This nutrient-rich waste is a precious source of life for phytoplankton, the very beginning of a sustainable food chain beneath the river. During the seasonal dry periods, the presence of cayman helps regulate fish populations, preventing a boom in any single species that could deplete aquatic resources. The relationship between the jaguar on land and the cayman in the water forms one of nature's most sophisticated systems of top-down regulation. Though they reign in two different environments, together they maintain a dynamic equilibrium, preventing the wetland ecosystem from falling into chaos. It is thanks to these kings of the waterways that the Amazon can sustain a level of biodiversity that is the most complex and perfect on the planet. Each individual exists not for itself alone, but as a living component that keeps the great wheel of evolution turning tirelessly through time. The Amazon is not just a forest, it is an intricate biological machine in which every creature we have just met is an inseparable part. From the resounding howls in the high canopy to the silent fungus gardens deep underground, all are weaving together a resilient symbiotic network. We have seen how the slow-moving sloth nurtures its host tree, and how the macaw deciphers nature's chemical puzzles to survive. The presence of iconic species like the jaguar and the cayman serves as a critical linchpin, holding this entire system in a state of dynamic balance. Science has shown that every link in this circulatory system, no matter how small, like the leafcutter ant, carries the mission of regulating the breath of our planet. The Amazon does not exist in isolation. It is the heart that regulates our climate, a living library of biological knowledge of which humanity has only just begun to read the first chapters. Conserving this great forest is not just about protecting a wilderness, but about safeguarding a life support system that has been fine-tuned over millions of years of evolution. As the sun sets over the rolling river, the Amazon continues its silent yet powerful pulse. But its lessons of balance and of reverence for Mother Earth will resonate forever. The wildlands of Africa are shaped by timeless confrontations, and among them, the duel between lion and buffalo is the most tragic of epics. On one side, the continent's sovereign predator, an icon of ruthless strategy, reigning from the apex of the food pyramid. On the other, a colossal herbivore, possessing a primal power sufficient to reverse the roles, turning hunter into hunted. Lions have elevated the art of cooperation to a new level. Unlike other solitary great cats, their collective strength is the key to subduing formidable adversaries. The lionesses, with their blend of stamina and tactical discipline, are always the vanguard. Amidst the tall grasses, they move like invisible golden phantoms. Every movement is meticulously calculated. Each approach is a dance demanding absolute precision. The task is clear: to bring down a Cape buffalo, a giant that can weigh up to 2,000 pounds. But hunting buffalo is an entirely different game from hunting zebra. This is a gamble where the price of failure can be life itself. The moment the pride reveals itself, the entire savannah is instantly transformed into a battlefield. The ground trembles beneath the powerful hooves of the buffalo herd. Instead of scattering in panic, the herd responds like a well-drilled army. They form a protective circle around the young, lowering their heads in unison and pointing their horns outward, creating a fortress of flesh and bone. A single counterattack is all it takes to turn the tide of battle. The force of a buffalo's charge can hurl a fully grown lion into the air, shattering its ribs and inflicting wounds from which there is no recovery. But those horns are more than just weapons. They're a chronicle of its entire life. The broad, solid base of the horns, known as the boss, fuses together in mature males, forming a near impenetrable helmet. Even more astonishing is the buffalo's formidable memory, and an instinct that seems to border on a capacity for vengeance. There are documented cases of herds returning to relentlessly track down and retaliate against lions that had attacked them days before. This behavior goes far beyond simple self-defense. It has all the hallmarks of revenge. For a lion, a serious injury is not just painful, it is a death sentence. A weakened hunter is left behind, unable to join the chase and unable to survive. And yet, hunger drives the pride onward into this perilous hunt. Bringing down a single buffalo is a monumental prize, enough to feed the entire pride for many days. The outcome of the war between lion and buffalo is rarely decisive. More often, it ends in a bloody stalemate for both sides. There are times, however, when the pride strategy prevails, when coordination and patience culminate in an irresistible ambush. The lion may be the king of beasts, but when facing the buffalo, even a king must bow to the uncertainty of nature. The African savannah is one of the planet's most dramatic and expansive stages. From Kenya to Botswana, it stretches out like a seemingly endless golden carpet. On the surface, this landscape appears open and serene, but it is in fact a theater of nature, where every element plays a part in the great drama of survival. This is a world of brutal contrasts. Under the daylight sun, the ground is scorched and parched. When night falls, the heat gives way to a bone-chilling cold. The sheer vastness of the savannah creates an illusion of space. It seems infinite, yet it is also a trap, with no escape. For the creatures here, there is no true place to hide. In this open expanse, the strong cannot conceal their power, and the weak are always the first to fall. On this immense stage, every action is exposed under the unforgiving lens of creation. A single mistake, no matter how small, can become a death warrant. And in this land, with no room for error, life belongs only to those who can adapt faster than a heartbeat. On the African savannah, the passage of time is measured not in days and nights. The rhythm of life here follows two distinct seasons, the wet and the dry. When the rains arrive, the skies unleash furious deluges. In a matter of weeks, the arid landscape is resurrected into a sea of green. Grasses can shoot up to over 6 feet. Millions of wilderbeast, zebra and gazelles pour onto the plains to feast on the abundance. But this prosperity also awakens the predators. Lions, cheetahs, leopards, and spotted hyenas seize the opportunity presented by the profusion of young prey. Then, the cycle reverses. The dry season descends like a consuming fire. The clear blue sky becomes an adversary, the sun baking the earth until it cracks. The green pastures vanish, leaving behind a brittle, yellowed vegetation that crumbles underfoot. Rivers shrink to stagnant pools. In the dry season, existence becomes a test of endurance. Animals must embark on arduous migrations in search of water and food. It is now that natural selection reveals its most ruthless nature. Only the most resilient individuals on this journey can hope to see the rains return. The African savannah is famed for its great herbivores, but it is the predators who are the deciding force in the balance of the entire ecosystem. Among them, 4 species have become iconic symbols of power, speed, intelligence, and ferocity: the lion, the leopard, the cheetah, and the spotted hyena. The lion is the embodiment of authority and collective strength. Unlike other solitary great cats, they live and hunt in organized prides. This social lifestyle has turned them into master strategists, capable of confronting large prey like zebra, wilderbeast, and even buffalo. The leopard is an artist of stealth. Its coat is covered in dark rosettes, allowing it to blend perfectly into the shade of a tree or the dappled light of the bush. Its success comes from patience and individual might. It stalks its prey silently until the last possible moment, then launches its attack with a lethal explosion of power. Its signature move is the phenomenal strength to haul its kill, sometimes double its own body weight, high into the branches of a tree to keep its prize safe from competitors. The cheetah, by contrast, wagers everything on pure speed. It is the fastest land animal on Earth, capable of accelerating from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3 seconds. However, the secret to its velocity lies in more than just its legs. Its spine is astonishingly flexible, acting like a giant spring, coiling and uncoiling to propel the body forward with each long stride. Its long, heavy tail is not for show. It acts as a rudder, allowing the cheetah to maintain its balance while making sharp turns at high speed. Its entire body is a masterpiece of biological engineering, built for a single purpose: explosive acceleration. But this specialization comes at a cost. The cheetah cannot maintain this top speed for long. After just a few seconds of sprinting, its body is overcome by exhaustion. The spotted hyena, often dismissed as a mere scavenger, is in fact one of the most successful hunters on the savannah. Its bite force is among the most powerful of all carnivorous mammals, strong enough to crush the largest bones. Contrary to popular belief, hyenas hunt most of their own food. They hunt in clans, relentlessly pursuing their quarry and running it to utter exhaustion. And their ferocity begins at birth. Hyena cubs are born with their eyes open and a full set of teeth. If they are twins, the struggle for life begins immediately. The infants will attack one another, sometimes to the death, just hours after being born, a behavior known as siblicide. In this cradle of death, only the strongest will survive to inherit the clan's legacy. These four predators prove that there is no single formula for survival. The lion succeeds through unity, the leopard through cunning, the cheetah through speed, and the hyena through the power of the clan. But the savannah's dominion is not confined to the ground. The sky has its own tyrants, winged predators whose shadows darken the sun, where power is decided not by claws on the earth, but by sight and a deadly silence from above. At the top of the aerial food chain is the martial eagle, Africa's most powerful avian predator. With a wingspan of over 6 feet and extraordinary vision, it surveys its domain from an incredible height. Once prey is spotted, it plummets like a black arrow, a fatal dive at terrifying speed. Its talons, with a grip strong enough to crush bone, make it an efficient executioner of prey, like young antelope, monkeys, or monitor lizards. But not all aerial tyrants rely on speed and brute force. In the wetlands bordering the savannah, a creature from a prehistoric age still reigns, the shoebill. With its ancient form and its cold, statuesque gaze, it is the personification of patience. It can stand motionless for hours, waiting for an unwary lungfish. Then, in an instant, the stillness is shattered by a lightning-fast strike, its enormous bill clapping shut with the sound of a machine gun. It is a hunting strategy honed over millions of years, a reminder that on the savannah, death can come in any form. If the predators command the stage with their authority, it is the herbivores that are the silent pillars of the African savannah. They are the architects of this ecosystem, reshaping the landscape with every step and ensuring the great cycle of life never stops. Each year, millions of wilderbeast, zebra, and gazelles traverse the plains, creating invisible pathways through the vegetation. Their waste fertilizes the soil, returning vital nutrients for new plant growth. Each species plays a specialized role. Zebra graze on the tallest, toughest grasses, clearing the way for wildebeest to feed on the shorter layers. After them, gazelles nibble on the newest shoots, completing a chain of resource exploitation that could not be more efficient. But the life of an herbivore is not one of peaceful grazing. To survive, they have evolved acutely sensitive senses and remarkable collective behaviors. The herd is organized into a defensive formation, with the young protected at the center, while vigilant adults stand guard on the perimeter. The herbivores are not just prey. They are the unseen giants who nurture the land and maintain the fragile equilibrium of an entire ecosystem. Few spectacles in nature can match the majesty of the Great Migration on the African savannah. It is a performance on an epic scale, where millions of wildebeest, along with zebra and gazelles, undertake a journey of around 1,000 miles. This migration is not a simple movement. It is the very pulse of the savannah, an eternal cycle that dictates the life and death of countless species. It all begins in the Serengeti, as the dry season turns the lush green plains into a vast golden dust bowl. Slowly, the herds gather, as if obeying an unseen command. But that command is not entirely invisible. Scientists believe that wildebeest possess an extraordinary ability. They can sense rain from hundreds of miles away. They are not just searching for green grass. They are following the promise of coming rains. Their sensitive hearing can detect the low-frequency sound of distant thunder, guiding them on a journey built on faith in a wetter future. The sound of hooves, at first hesitant, soon merges into a single continuous thunder. This march is a brutal test of endurance. Calves are born on the move and must learn to stand within minutes, for the migration never stops. But the migration is not just a trek across an arid landscape. It is a journey into the territory of death. The Mara River is the most perilous trial. Its murky brown waters conceal Nile crocodiles, ancient giants lying in wait. As the first wildebeest plunge into the river, a scene of chaos erupts. Thousands of bodies push and shove against one another. Many are swept away by the strong current, while others fall to the jaws of the aquatic predators. Even on the far bank, the danger is not over. Lions, hyenas, and cheetahs lie in ambush, waiting for the exhausted animals. On this journey, unity is the ultimate weapon. Wildebeest move in enormous herds, turning the vulnerability of the individual into the strength of a collective wall. Zebra join the throng, bringing their keen senses to spot predators and taking advantage of the safety in numbers. In essence, the migration is an invisible thread that connects the entire ecological web of the savannah. Year after year, generation after generation, the wildebeest follow the same path as if obeying an ancient oath. On the African savanna, herbivores are not passive victims. Each species has evolved its own set of skills and weapons for self-defense. The Thompson's gazelle is a prime example. Small and nimble, it can reach speeds of up to 50 miles per hour. But the secret to its survival lies in more than just speed. Its zigzagging run can confound even the fastest of predators. The zebra does not rely on a single strategy. In flight, it can reach 40 miles per hour, but its truly fearsome weapons are its back legs. Its hind legs are potent biological weapons. A single kick can break a predator's jaw, or even kill it. The giraffe, the tallest creature on land, possesses legs that are both long and dangerous. At nearly 6 feet long, they can deliver a kick with a force of 2,000 pounds. Its height is also a strategic advantage. Its eyes, positioned over 16 feet above the ground, allow it to spot enemies from miles away. But that height creates a seemingly impossible biological challenge. How does it get blood to its brain? A giraffe's heart is a marvel of engineering, weighing up to 25 pounds and generating blood pressure twice that of a human. Bending down to drink is a potentially fatal act for a giraffe. The immense blood pressure could rupture its brain. But it has a secret, the rete mirabile. A complex system of valves blocks the rush of blood the moment it lowers its head. It is a G-suit, built into its very anatomy. Its entire circulatory system is a wonder of evolution. The warthog dashes through the savannah, its mane like an untamed tuft of grass. Its curved tusks are a vital shield against any foe. When pursued, it vanishes into its burrow with incredible speed. And in this arid land, this ungainly-looking creature is one of the most resilient. The oryx possesses perhaps the most impressive weaponry of all. A pair of long, straight horns that can measure over 3 feet. They look like swords, forged for battle. The wilderbeast move like a dark, rolling wave, surging across the plains to the primal drumbeat of nature. In moments of life and death, its sturdy hooves pound the earth, carrying the fierce vitality of the great African migration. When attacked, a wildebeest will confront its aggressor head-on, using powerful shakes of its head to deliver blows that can pierce a lion's thick hide. And finally, the African buffalo, a behemoth that gives even the most courageous predators pause. Weighing nearly 2,000 pounds, with horns as hard as steel, it can turn any hunt into a nightmare. When threatened, it does not flee, it attacks. On the African savannah, where the horizon is always open, and there are few places to hide, survival demands more than just strength or speed. Many species have found their ultimate weapon in the art of camouflage and evasion. It is the ability to vanish in plain sight. The impala is one of the great masters. Its tan coat blends perfectly with the dry grass of the dry season and the lush vegetation of the wet. When it senses danger, it can freeze for minutes on end, becoming just another part of the landscape. Here, on the plains, an ancient riddle presents itself, written in black and white. For decades, we believed these stripes were a form of camouflage. A visual illusion to confuse lions. But the truth is far more subtle and aimed at a smaller, yet more persistent, enemy. To the eyes of the blood-sucking tsetse fly, this is not an animal. It is a disruptive matrix of polarized light. A kind of optical armor that makes it almost impossible for them to find a place to land. This is not just defense. It is a genius solution to a million-year-old problem, etched permanently onto its very skin. To the eyes of this blood-sucking fly, it is a confounding matrix of polarized light that prevents a landing. A brilliant solution to a daily problem, written upon the skin. On the African savannah, communication is a weapon just as powerful as horns or speed. Many herbivores have developed complex alarm systems, capable of turning a simple sound into a signal of survival for the entire community. It is a common language of sounds, gestures, and even scents, linking different species in an invisible defensive network. The impala is perhaps the best example. When it spots a predator, it lets out a piercing bark that can be heard from hundreds of yards away. That sound acts as an alarm call, not just for other impala, but also for zebra, wilderbeast, and even birds. The wilderbeast, for its part, uses deep, sonorous calls that echo across the plains. The response is instantaneous. Thousands of individuals will bunch together and begin to move as one, creating a constantly shifting wall of bodies. On the savannah, the future of every species is wagered on the survival of its young. Fragile, naive, and vulnerable, they are at once a source of hope and a critical weakness. The giraffe is a striking example. Although its height helps it detect enemies from a distance, its calf is still an easy target for lions and hyenas. To protect her offspring, a mother will use her most powerful weapons, her hind legs. A single kick can fell a predator in an instant. Hippos, though they spend most of their lives in the water, are also devoted mothers. Their calves always swim right beside them. If a crocodile approaches, the response is immediate. The mother will attack with a bite powerful enough to splinter a wooden boat. Elephants are perhaps the most impressive protectors of all. Living in clans led by experienced matriarchs, they are the ultimate guardians. When danger nears, the adults form a circle around the young, placing them at the center of a living citadel. This collective strategy turns the herd into a near impenetrable fortress. On the savannah, protecting the young is a behavior forged not merely by instinct, but by millennia of necessity. The African savannah is more than just a stage for breathtaking scenery. It is an arena of ceaseless struggle, where every dawn writes new stories of courage, intelligence, and survival. Here, no victory is permanent, and no defeat is final. The dance of life continues. from one generation to the next, ensuring this wild drama will never have a final curtain.